This is episode number 366 of the InnerFight podcast with Ben Coomber. Welcome back to another edition of the InnerFight podcast, brought to you in association with Smith Street Paleo. Hop over to iTunes, rate and review our show, and we will send you a big bag of Smith Street Paleo goodies. If you have any questions for the show, comments, how we can make it better, how we can serve you better, drop us an email, winning@innerfight.com. Welcome to the show, Ben. Here goes Andre interviewing him about him and his life.
Welcome back to another episode of InnerFight podcast. Today we're here with Ben Coomber. Welcome to the show, man.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm very good. Been in Dubai a couple of days, got a couple of sessions in, meeting some good people, getting a tan.
Yeah.
All good.
No sunburn yet?
No sunburn yet. I'm practicing safe exposure. 30 minutes at a time, 15 minutes bronze in either side. I'm good.
Oh, that's a good strategy.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about yourself.
So, primarily a nutritionist, work largely online in education. I do a lot of in-public seminars, like I'm over here because I'm speaking at MeFit Pro.
Yeah.
Do a lot of the big events at the UK, Body Power, SFN, National Fitness Conference.
Wow.
So, at home, my time is split between having a big mouth and talking a lot on social media, training, running my education company, which is Body Type Nutrition, and we've also got a supplement line in the UK as well.
What's that called?
It's called Awesome Supplements.
That's a good name.
It is, and hopefully be in the UAE pretty soon.
Yeah.
Which is another reason I'm over here.
That's really cool. That's actually, you saying having a big mouth or actually being out there. That's how I got to know you. Just all the exposure you have on social media, with your podcast, with your Facebook page and everything.
I try.
It really seems like it. How many platforms are you on nowadays?
Well, Facebook and Instagram is the kind of the main talking thing, and then my podcast is my main sort of avenue of educating other people. That's the #1 show in the UK, quite regularly top 10 in the world. So I've been doing that 4 years, and it's gone really well. I've interviewed some of the best people. You know that, like, podcast is a great way to just have a chat, learn. You can do it passively. People are listening to this right now driving in the car.
Exactly.
Like, it's an awesome way to reach people. I love it.
So easy and great for us as well.
Yeah.
How did you get into this whole nutrition thing? Like, what's your background story? How was it growing up?
So, I was obese, left school at 18. I was pretty overweight, 16 stone, and I was going to go into acting. So that was my thing. I'd spent 10 years as a child actor. I wanted to go in on this big stage, and I kind of just looked at myself basically after school, and I was like, I am a state. I am not going to be successful in my career. And it was that passion as a young man to want to be successful and had that drive to better myself. I said, I need to lose weight. I need to look like the guys that are going to get the lead roles.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise, he's not overweight, he's not ugly. Like, he's nailing it because he's fit and handsome. So I went on this relentless weight loss journey, and it just, with clients and with people, the penny just drops. Like, they get it and they just go relentlessly into their journey. That was me. I woke up the next day and I started running. I started eating better. I started sleeping better. Everything changed. And the thing that actually got me into nutrition is everything I was doing didn't feel like it was working. I was running loads. I was eating what was described as a healthy diet. And I'd lost 5 pounds in 5 months, which is a pretty shit weight loss statistic. It's not good. So I said, right, I need to rethink this. I joined a gym because I wasn't currently in a gym. I joined a gym, and I happened to fall in the hands of a great trainer. And he said, do you know what? I think we can make some tweaks. He recommended me a book, Paul Chek's How to Eat, Move and Be Healthy. Yeah. And he said, should we try lift some weights, try and build a bit of muscle and stuff? So I bought this book, read it in a week, started lifting weights, and I lost 4 stone in 4 months. Like, the fat just peeled off my body. And I was like, wow, this is the power of the right kind of tools, the right kind of information. And I lost all the weight, and then I was like, do you know what? I want to do a couple of courses to train myself better. I want to know this stuff. I went on a nutrition course, then I went on a training course. I was fortunate enough to have a little piggy bank of cash, so I flew over to California and actually studied under Paul Chek, which was amazing.
Oh, wow.
He's an incredible practitioner. There's some stuff I might disagree with him with, like anything in fitness. We all have a way of doing things.
Exactly.
But the guy, he's holistic. He thinks about everything. He thinks about the mind, which I think is missed in fitness a lot. We're not thinking about people's emotions, their whys, their environment. And I had a great baptism of fire, and it was that that journey where I was like, wow, that's the power of nutrition. That got me into fitness. So I left acting behind, became a trainer, worked as a trainer for a while, felt my purpose was bigger. I wasn't happy being a one-to-one trainer. I was like, I want to teach other people what I know. So I just got into I ended up going to uni because I had itchy feet. I was still young. And went to uni, studied sports performance and coaching, then specialised in sports and human performance in nutrition, as off the back of that with the International Society of Sports Nutrition. And after that point, I was like, I just want to teach other people. I want to share this stuff. And then I kind of saw the social media movement. Everyone was getting on Facebook.
And when is this? How many years back did you finish all the education?
So I finished all my education in 2010. Social media was like starting its rise in 2009.
Right.
I was starting to play around with it, got into it in 2010, and I was like, I'm going to try create a personal brand, and started to brand myself. And that then just moved naturally into education, doing seminars, and here I am today.
Yeah, it's a really, really cool story, and I think a lot of our listeners either know somebody or have experienced itself the whole journey of struggling to lose weight because of being overweight. What was the breaking point? You said you read a book, it sort of changed your life because you got this holistic view on your training and on your health. What are some things that you can recommend our listeners to start acting upon regarding weight loss?
Oh, so I'm going to go deep right off the bat. I coach an awful lot of people. I run group coaching programs, and the biggest thing that people have to realize is that you have to want to change, which is the first thing. Then people have to struggle with why they might not want to change. So does that person have a fear of failure? Do they have a fear of success? Do they feel that their environment's going to hold them back? Like you might have
fear of success.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
They feel they don't deserve it. So many people don't feel they deserve to be fit, happy, healthy. You think, let's say someone's 35 years old, and ever since they were 18 to 35, they've kind of been that chubby guy, that jokey guy, the guy that has a few drinks at a party and is a bit of a joker. Like, he lives in that shell. He has a certain amount of characteristics, and he's been practicing that persona for 13 years. How does he just break out of that? What? Because coach told him to go on a diet and lift some weights? Bullshit. It's not going to work.
No.
So you've got to help that guy discover or potentially evolve into literally a new identity. Like, health and fitness genuinely changes people.
Yeah.
I'm going to say for the better, but people are scared of what other people around them are going to think. Oh, I don't want to offend that person. How do I say no to going out to a drink? How do I cut out that food, or maybe don't go to that restaurant because I know I'm going to overeat? How do people do that? The dieting stuff is flipping easy.
Exactly.
Eat less, eat real food, move a bit, hydrate, sleep well.
Yeah.
Like, it's simple, right? What's not simple is finding out why people can't implement that. And it's all to do with the emotional connection, the behavioural connection, the environmental connection with people's environments. And if people crack that, bang, the penny drops, people get success just like I did. I'm fortunate that at the age of 18, I had the foresight and the power to say, I'm going to change because I don't want to be this man anymore.
Yeah.
Other people are not in that gifted position. They've got kids, stress, bad jobs. Like, they've got way more baggage than I did as an 18-year-old. And I understand that. So that's where people have to start.
So as coaches, like as a great coach, you can't just look at, how many sets of bench press and running they have to do and what they eat. You have to also look at the whole mental aspect and actually speak to people about their emotions and tell them that they actually deserve.
Yep.
They deserve to be fit, and they can be fit if they choose to.
They do deserve it. Everyone deserves it. Everyone deserves to be in incredible health. And let's get really real with the fitness industry here. There's an awful lot of people in the fitness industry that got into it through chasing their passions and their dreams and the things that they want to change in themselves and other people, and that is a great thing. But there's an awful lot of coaches that haven't completed their own journey.
Yeah.
People have to complete their own journey to genuinely be able to help other people with their journey.
I love that,
I see so many, and I'm going to hate a little bit on female trainers here. Female trainers have not conquered their own, emotional eating tendencies, that they turn to food in times of stress. How do you coach someone else out of that when you haven't conquered that yourself? you have to go down these journeys. So we have to be the best versions of ourselves to help other people. And you give me a diet plan and a training plan, I'm highly motivated to do it. And the chances are, if we take 100 clients, 20 to 30 people will follow that plan. They're already motivated.
Yeah.
It's probably a reasonable statistic.
Yeah, about 20%.
Yeah. Then there's going to be another 20 to 40% that are going to struggle. They need a few tips. There's a few environmental things. And then there's like 40% that just can't follow it, won't do it, don't know how, don't believe themselves. That 40%, that's what shows you're an incredible coach. If you can help that 40% that's unfixable, you're a good coach, in my opinion.
And what do you do with that 40% then?
Well, firstly, I care about them.
Yeah.
I listen to them.
Genuinely caring about people.
I have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so I spend a lot of time using my ears. I listen to them, and I put the ownership fully on them. So when I run my coaching programs, the first 2 weeks of my coaching programs, people hate me.
Okay.
They hate me because I won't just give them the answer. So they might say, Ben, I'm struggling with some breakfast ideas. Let's just take that as a simple example.
Yeah.
Ben, I'm struggling with some breakfast ideas. What can I eat? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to tell you once you've exhausted your current knowledge of your breakfast ideas. So let me stretch your nutrition muscle right now, challenge yourself first, and then I'll expand that knowledge for you. Because at some point in time, that person, and in my coaching programs it's 8 weeks, in 8 weeks' time they're going to leave my care. So at 8 weeks they need to know this information, and if they're not sure on something, their reflex needs to be, oh, what do I already know about this? What ideas do I have, rather than their reflex being, I'll go and ask Ben, I'll go and ask Andre, I'll go and ask my coach or the person I look up to. That's not life skills. Nutrition is a powerful life skill. If you learn it, you nail it, you're able to control your weight, your energy, all this good stuff. So your reflex has to be that I know the knowledge. I might have to improve and fill in that knowledge a little bit, but I trust myself. So I listen to people. I build the trust in them. I show them that they are capable of losing weight if they rely on their own ability and knowledge, trust themselves, because they know the answer. Everyone knows the answer to weight loss. Everyone. Eat less, move more, in some description, however we package that. But what is the reason why people can't do that? And that's what I'm trying to empower people to be able to do.
Yeah, I love that part about actually caring about people. What I think makes a great coach or a great teacher, whatever we want to call it, it just comes down to not what you know, but how much you actually care about people. Because we can all make a training program that's going to work. We can all guide people with nutrition, but in the end of the day, the client won't stay, or the group won't stay if they feel like you don't care about them. And I guess it's also, you want them to sort of make you proud in some way, and make themselves proud. But I think if they know they don't care about you and you're not their idol in some way, then they will never try to impress you.
And this is where, let's look at CrossFit. That's where they've nailed it as a fitness concept, because they were like, how about we look after people's movement, we get them stronger, we empower them, we teach them, we do some high fives and celebrate their successes in every session. And look what it's done. I think it's the most powerful fitness movement. And, there's loads of people that disagree with some of the nuances of CrossFit. Great. But everyone, whether they like to admit it or not, in the fitness industry is learning from CrossFit in the community element. You walk into every CrossFit box and you're like, shit, there's a buzz in here, man. Like, how many gyms have that? How many commercial facilities have that? How many PT studios have that? We're all learning a lot from CrossFit because CrossFit's caring about people and what happens at the end of 8, 12, 16 weeks of programming.
It's so powerful. It's crazy. It's really... I think a lot of people like to say bad things about CrossFit, but if we look at the big picture, like the stuff it's done for the world and health-wise, it's amazing. How many people start doing actual sports because of CrossFit, and potentially they wouldn't have lasted long in their commercial gym and wouldn't really have made any gains.
100%. If you ask most people what they want to achieve, they want to be happy, healthy, bit fitter, and look better. So regardless of whether someone looks and says, oh, bodybuilding's the best thing or the powerlifting's the best thing, when you all wrap it up, CrossFit as a basic modality of training is the best thing, really, for that person, because it mixes strength, fitness, ability, mobility, empowerment. So really, as a model, it became successful because they've just listened to the basic goals of the client and gone, man, let's program for that.
Yeah.
Boom, results.
What kind of training do you do with your clients?
Well, I don't train them physically one-to-one.
Okay.
All my coaching is nutrition. It's all online.
Yeah.
My opinions on fitness are very simple. You've got to have two things to cater for, or you focus on one or a mixture of them. It's you train for a purpose or an outcome, whether it's you want to run a marathon or you want to lift heavy shit. If you want to look good naked, then you have to accept that there's going to be a certain amount of weight training or a certain thing that you're going to have to do, whether you like that training or not. But what you focus on is the outcome. Like, I lift weights. I do enjoy it, but I like the outcome. I look good naked. But
and it doesn't really matter what the process is.
Exactly.
If the outcome is bigger than...
Then you like it. And you're like, well, I'm willing to do that thing because I like the outcome. Yeah. Secondly is fun. Yeah. Fun, you play. You know, I say to people, I'll be in a CrossFit seminar in a box, and I'm like, if any of you in this room don't like CrossFit, leave. And the CrossFit owner's sitting there going, oh, God, you know, what's he going to say? And I'm like, why? Because... this is sustainability. This is what we're trying to get in people. Like, if you can't see yourself doing CrossFit in a year's time, find something that you can do in a year's time. And it's not to say that CrossFit won't serve a purpose for that period of that person's life. But if you love badminton, play badminton. If you love croquet, squash, tennis, swimming, do that thing because you're going to enjoy it. You're going to be motivated to do it. It's going to clear your head. It's going to have emotional and mental benefits. Yeah. So you've got to be in one of those places. And I kind of mix it up. I train for purpose, but I also train for fun. And my training for fun is rugby. That's my thing that I enjoy. Cool. It satisfies that competitive alpha male gene in my body.
Yeah, but team sport as well.
Yeah, and then I run because it clears my head. Run with my dog. So running, lifting weights, little bit of swimming and rugby is my mixture.
Okay.
For purpose and fun.
So there's no ideal training methodology or real, like, you have to do this or this. Just do whatever makes you happy and whatever will take you to that goal or outcome that you want, basically.
Yeah. And I think people struggle with listening to me saying that because we're all very good at comparing ourselves to other people. Yeah. I compare myself to no one. What you lift in your squat, I couldn't give a monkey's about. If we're going to have a squat session, hopefully you're humble enough to go, okay, cool, Ben's going to lift 80 kilos, I'm going to lift 120. We'll switch plates around on the bar, cool. No ego. No alphas come into it. You know, I'm not bothered about my squat going up. What I'm bothered about is being a pretty strong guy, but being healthy, being happy, looking good. Like, don't get me wrong, if there's a period in my life where I want to build a bit of muscle, then I say, okay, I need to stick to some consistent programming. Yeah. But most of the time, I'm training for a loose purpose. Yeah. And then when I have a strict purpose, I'll tighten it up. But you know, there's so many people that program a certain way because they're looking at other people looking in. Fuck that. Yeah. Do things for what you want to do. And, you know, I suppose I'm very intuitive with my training. Like, I'll just flow with it. You know, today I've already trained in the gym. We did an upper body session and we just played. We should we do this? Should we do that? Yeah, let's do this.
Love that.
You know, we did the same yesterday. But if I was in a different training phase, I might have walked in and said, oh, I need to do this today. Yeah. Because I'm trying to achieve a goal. But that's what I want people to get to have that fitness and nutrition intuition for their own body.
Yeah, I really like that. I think a lot of people, they believe that they need this really specific thing they need to train for. Like, if you come to CrossFit gym every day and your goal, like, you don't need to have a goal of wanting to compete just because it's easy accessible or CrossFit made it super accessible. Your goal can just be to come and have a good time and hopefully look a little bit better. Or feel a bit better by training. Yeah. It doesn't need to always be like, I need to do 10 bar muscle-ups within this month, and I need to row a 5K in under 20 minutes.
Yeah. And that's why CrossFit's brilliant, because a guy can turn up. The coach is going to go, right, we're going to spend 20 minutes on strength. We're going to do 20 minutes on accessory, and then I'm going to make you fit by making you blow out your ass for 12 minutes. And, you know, people can walk into a gym and get that. Walk home, do that 3 times a week and look awesome, feel awesome. Yeah. Why wouldn't you do that? Whereas there's people walking into a commercial gym going, oh, what shall I do today? Okay, I'll start on the treadmill, then I'll make up my program in my head. Yeah. Screw that, pay £40 more, go to a CrossFit box, get excellent programming and enjoy it.
Exactly. Let's jump a bit more over to the nutrition part. More specifically, there is 1,000 diets out there and it's a bit of a jungle. Mm-hmm. There's paleo, there's everything, and you know, how does people guide themselves through this?
Easily. So every diet will have one consistent system, which is a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
So we can't get away from that. Every diet works by omitting a food which tends to cause a calorie deficit. Whether we go on a low-fat diet, low-carb diet, we take something out, we get a lowered calorie environment. So that's the first thing. Second thing is we have to provide for someone's health. Health should be number one in everything that we do. What does health come from? Real food.
Yeah.
So the majority of your diet should be real food. And I'm going to say somewhere 80 to 90%, because 10 to 20% should be, a burger when you want to go out with your mates, a beer, an ice cream when you go out with your family. That should be the 10 to 20%, and there should be zero guilt around eating those foods, because that's just balance, that's just life, that's sociability. And then after that, I think we develop this intuitive feel of what makes you feel good. Like, I have clients that are on a high-carb diet, I have clients that are on a low-carb diet. One guy, it makes him feel great. The second guy, it makes him feel great. Listen to that. If you have a bowl of oatmeal one morning and you feel pretty tired and lethargic, whether that food was healthy or not, it made you feel tired.
Yeah.
So look at the balance. Okay, what was the balance? It was high carb, high fiber, but low fat, low protein. So how about we switch it around? How about we have a large omelette with 3 or 4 servings of veggies in there and an apple on the side? Lowered the carb. It's now low to moderate carb. It's high in protein, moderate to maybe high in fat. That person eats it, feels great, and I'm like, right, why did you feel great on that? Okay, we've changed the kind of macronutrient ratio.
Yeah.
That's how I want you to look at most of your meals. So we've got a real simple theme here, right? Eat a volume of food that suits your goals, whether it's weight loss, weight maintenance, or weight gain. Eat real food, because that's what provides for health, but have balance and have a sentiment of flexibility. And then listen to your body and change it based on the feedback that you're getting. If a food upsets you, maybe take it out and see how you feel. Like, if gluten upsets you, take it out. If eggs upset you, take it out. If fucking apples upset you, take it out.
Yeah.
Listen. And they're probably the 3 simplest things that I'd want people to focus on to just get a real simple diet framework for them.
Yeah. Just listen and learn, and there is no good or bad or wrong or right, sort of, and to some extent. Just, go by intuition, basically. That's what you're saying.
Definitely. As a coach, I'm very concerned about the language that I use with clients.
Yeah.
And I think in fitness we have a lot of faulty terminology. We have a lot of loaded terminology. Like, if I said, if it fits your macros to someone, if I said paleo, if I said, CrossFit, all these words come with rules.
Yeah.
And I want to break away a lot of these rules for people. Don't get me wrong, there needs to be a certain amount of rules depending on the outcome that someone wants. So if you want to be a professional athlete, look like a beast, perform like a beast, your rules are going to have to be greater than the average man. But the average man can have a lot less rules and be a bit more relaxed because his outcome is very different to the other guy. Yeah. So people need to kind of be a little bit cognizant of that. Like, my rules are very different for training. Like, your training goals might be a little bit stricter to mine. You might be looking to compete. So the chances are when, we go out for dinner, for example, your framework going into choosing what you're going to eat off the menu might be different to mine because your goals are different.
Yeah, it comes back to the outcome. Like,
exactly, it's outcome based.
Yeah.
And that's why if I'm working with a 40-year-old woman that's got 2 kids and feels better about herself, then my approach and my language is going to be so much different to working with a young 25 performance-minded individual, because the outcome is different. She's just trying to be happy and healthy. This guy's trying to be an animal.
Yeah.
So the approach and the tools change, the language change, everything changes.
I think that's really cool, because I think it's really cool, and I think a lot of people either get excited or confused about it, because they'll be like, oh man, I hope you just give me, a strict answer. Or why can't he just tell me, you're going to have this for breakfast, this for lunch, this for dinner, and done deal.
Yeah.
That's just not how it works. Like,
it's not. I think that's why I've developed trust in fitness, because yes, I'm a fitness professional. Yes, I have a good amount of knowledge, but after all, I'm a guy that loves to go out for a beer with his mates. Pretty relaxed around food, but I love to feel amazing. And people are like, I can kind of see myself doing that. Like, I want to look and feel like him, but I don't want to be as strict as some of these athletes that we see on Instagram and what they're doing. And I'm like, okay, good, that's great. Now let's put some more context into that. Why do you trust me? Because my goals are quite similar to yours. You just haven't quite got there yet. So why are you comparing yourself to a CrossFit Games athlete? Why are you comparing yourself to a bodybuilder in prep?
Yeah.
Don't. You're not that guy.
No.
You don't use those tools. Change the tools, because you've got a different outcome.
That's really true. Today, again, still with the diet, we're more obese than ever, even though the fitness industry and health industry is exploding. I mean, there's more gyms than ever, there's more trainers than ever, more nutritionists than ever, and we still get more and more obese every day. What do you think the reason for that is?
There is an awful lot. I mean, where do we start? I mean, there's a hyper availability of cheap junk food, which everyone's kind of, addicted to one reason or another. I think there's a social kind of coolness around
Junk
kind
food?
of damaging your body.
Oh, yeah?
I think, it's cool
smoking, for
yeah,
example.
it's cool to smoke and get shit-faced and eat bad food, but
Yeah.
it's not as cool to eat great food, be in great health, be able to go for a run, be able to challenge yourself, have energy. It's not really cool yet.
But why is that? It
Again,
makes no sense.
It's kind of a cultural thing. Like, if we go back to like the 70s, the 60s, when you had a bit of money, the way you enjoyed yourself was to go out and have luxury food,
Yeah.
to go out and smoke and drink. These were all luxury items, but now we live in a world of abundance. You can have these items every day.
Anytime.
Because your salary and the kind of commodity-driven environment has dictated that. So everyone's evolved into being like, well, we don't have to have this stuff at the weekend. I can do this every day. This is brilliant. But we've now started to connect that with the outcome. Like, people back then were only living to like 50 years old, but now we've got the potential to live to 80, 100. We're going to start seeing people live to 130, 140 with medical care, with what we know about health. So people are now going, whoa, shit, like, my lifetime isn't then, my lifetime's there, but actually I have to start paying attention to what I eat. And I think what's really cool is, like, Generation Z is now really cognizant of health. Like, everyone in my gym at home that is 22 to like 28 is in phenomenal shape. And I'm kind of almost quite proud of that. Like, there is a strong young fitness generation on Instagram, and that's cool. And I think slowly we'll really start to see the obesity figures sort of trickle a little bit as this, those generations start to come through. And I did a really cool podcast with someone the other day on their show, and we talked a lot about all the generational tendencies of what we've seen over the last 50 years.
Oh, really?
And, people are programmed by their environment, right? If you've been programmed generationally to think a certain way, you're going to do a certain thing at the weekend. You're going to eat a certain way. You're not going to see a food as potentially negative.
No.
Because you've been taught and told for 10, 15, 20 years. Think about fat. Fat for like however long was demonized, and it took us like 10 years of banging the drum to say that saturated fat might not be bad.
Yeah.
So how long is it going to take to start to unwind these obesity figures? It's probably going to be a while.
But you think it's been starting already?
I don't know. I haven't looked at the statistics. I personally think if we start to look in like 5-8 years time, we're going to see some cool stuff happen.
That's awesome.
And I think we're going to have to, because the pressure on governments and hospitals and stuff is just going to be colossal. I'm from the UK. The NHS is under a colossal amount of strain. It gets worse, and there's going to be overcrowded hospitals.
Yeah.
And it's not the NHS's fault. It's the people putting stuff into their mouths, not moving. It's their fault. We have to take responsibility for our health.
There's already plenty of diseases out there.
Exactly.
Obesity is at least, a choice we can make.
Exactly. And I made that choice.
Yeah. Well, we have seen so many transformations here in InnerFight, and it's just crazy how people's lives just change. It's not only in the gym, but outside the gym as well. How do you think social media affects this whole fitness industry, and how does it help, like, positively, the whole health industry and health world, basically?
Well, it's negative and positive.
Yeah.
With great power comes the potential to do great things or very bad things, and social media gives people the power to reach an awful lot of people. We look at Instagram, there's a colossal amount of very positive messages. In the UK, there's a huge rise in kind of like the female fitness movement, Girls Gone Strong, and I think that's an incredibly powerful thing. There's a huge amount of girls talking about self-confidence and body issues, and that's amazing. But there's also a lot of people on there that are still promoting very outdated opinions based on kind of like obsessive mentalities, and like there's a big bodybuilding scene over here in Dubai, and I'm not saying that's a negative thing, but from what I've seen of bodybuilding, it develops or can develop a huge amount of orthorexia, orthorexic behavior. That's not a good thing. Don't get me wrong, there's some positives to being
Define that for me.
So orthorexic, an obsession with healthy eating, obsession by always moving towards perfect.
Yeah.
And, we're scared of putting a burger in our mouth. We're scared of doing some things that we might not see as perfect because people have been saying, like, to get this outcome, you need to be, 100% strict or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think there's good and bad things. I'd like to think that my social media and other people are doing some great things, but it's like anything. Like, people say, how do we get more of a positive, healthy message out there? I'm like, we just have to keep fighting the fight. We just have to keep drumming the drum. We hope more people join in with us. We hope that message comes over crowded. It's just like obesity. We hope that the information changes and the new generations keep coming through healthier and healthier. And it's a fight that there's not a perfect answer to. But if more people join the fight, then we're powerful together.
And what are you doing to fight this fight?
Well, my podcast, we're getting 100,000 downloads a month. We're reaching a huge amount of people. I've written books that thousands of people have read, and hopefully it's a positive message. So, I keep upscaling my message. I keep drawing more people in. I'm trying to push my books into the mainstream. My plans are to be on TV in the future because I believe I've got a voice that can affect thousands of people, millions of people. So that's how I'm trying to help.
Which books have you written?
I've written kind of a nutrition book, the Nutrition Blueprint. I've written the Sports Nutrition Blueprint. I've written a cookbook, short cookbook with like calories and macros in it and stuff.
Yeah.
I've written How to Be an Awesome Personal Trainer, which is available on Amazon.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it. And there's about another 12 books coming over the next 8 years.
12 books?
Yeah, I've mapped them all out. They're coming.
Oh my God. All right, that's crazy.
My last book I wrote in a week, so as far as I'm concerned, I could do 12 in the next year.
How big are these books?
I don't know, a couple of 100 pages.
Oh, wow. That's really, really impressive. One thing that's been taking the internet by storm lately is the whole plant-based diets, this whole veganism.
Yep.
What's your thoughts on that?
I think as a whole, we can't not say it's a positive movement. Plant-based nutrition, if we compared loads of diets, is a pretty beneficial way to eat. What's wrong with eating a ton of fruits and vegetables and whole grains? It's positive to a degree, but my problem is when it stems from a faulty belief system. So I get if you believe that killing animals and animal cruelty and that kind of life cycle of meat consumption, if you're against that, then I 100% respect you as a vegan or vegetarian or pescatarian or lacto vegetarian. Whatever you classify yourself, I'm cool with that 100%. But when you come to me and say, I'm vegan because I've watched a documentary that said that milk is like drinking poison, then I'm like, that's not an evidence-based scientific approach to nutrition. That's you listening to a guy that's got an opinion. He's scared you enough into going vegan. Like, I did a big video that went pretty viral on the What the Health documentary.
Okay.
And the What the Health documentary went into a huge amount of faulty science.
Yeah, I heard that. The Chinese studies and whatever.
Yeah, the China studies are a hugely flawed book. Like, again, we can see whatever we want to see in data. So I'm not saying that scientific data is bad. It's a basis for foundational knowledge. It's a basis for rational thinking. But we can read what we want from research. So you can't just read the abstract of the research. You have to read the methodology, the results, how they interpreted the results, the conclusion based on the results that they got, because the scientific researcher might have been going into that science with a bias, which everyone has bias, whether we admit it or not.
Yeah, we try to be objective, but let's be honest.
The human brain doesn't work like that.
No.
We've got 20 years of programming.
Yeah.
We're going to operate with some bias. So when people come to me and they're like, meat's bad because it does this, and I'm like, it doesn't do that. A guy just told you that and made it sound so scary that you're now not going to eat meat. So is a vegan diet more healthy than an omnivorous diet? No. But do we see a lot of benefits coming from a plant-based diet? Yes. Why? So let's talk about context. The context usually is that someone goes from a pretty average diet, goes plant-based and starts to feel incredible. That's great. Well done. But if I coached you and I said, I'm going to take you to quite a plant-based diet, but it's going to have some animal protein in there as well. It might not be loads, but we're going to have a bit of, beef in there, eggs, fish, etc. You're going to be just as healthy because I've still improved your diet, let's just say 50%. And you're going to see the benefit of that. So context is key. And this is where bias becomes a massive problem because we have frameworks that people enter in. So, paleo. People went to paleo, they had incredible results. Paleo now becomes the only way for them because it gave them the results. So it's not that paleo is right or wrong, it's that it fitted their framework at the time that they needed it, but now they're a little bit blinded by the other stuff because paleo was just there at the right time, it had the right kind of framework and rules to make them stick to it, which is great, but people can't be blinded by the other ways of doing things, the other opinions, the other science.
Yeah. And like you said, if you come from a crappy diet, if you all of a sudden turn vegan and you start eating super healthy and everything, obviously you'll see great results. It's like if you've never trained in your life, it doesn't matter if you start doing Zumba, CrossFit, weightlifting, or just running, you'll see results.
100%.
Because you've done nothing. So it always, I guess it always depends on, where you come from.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guilty even after I saw that documentary. I was like, what? I called my girlfriend. I'm like, oh my God. I've had 1 liter of whole fat milk for 10 years back in Denmark. After each training session, I will die of cancer. But, it's not like that. But I must admit, removing dairy and some gluten and stuff like that, that really have helped me quite a lot. So
again, but you've listened to your body, right?
Exactly.
When I was 18, I found I was heavily gluten intolerant. I was intolerant to dairy. I took them out for quite a long period of time. Gluten used to screw up my guts. I used to feel really mentally tired on gluten. And dairy used to kind of give me a really claggy throat, quite bad in the sinuses, quite blocked up. Yeah. And I spent a good amount of time getting healthy, supporting my immune system, looking at my gut microflora, which was apparently non-existent. And I reintroduced both gluten and dairy. Gluten had a zero reaction, so I introduced it back into my diet. And then dairy still posed a problem for me. Kept dairy out of the diet for a while longer, reintroduced it about 3 years ago, and I'm fine with it. I'm fine with gluten, I'm fine with dairy. So it was a stage in my life that I had to go through. I then improved my health. I improved what was happening with my immune system and my gut. So again, it's just me listening to my body, me experimenting. At the time, the paleo concept, the anti-inflammatory concept was right for me, and now there's no need for me to over-restrict my food intake because it's not causing anything negative in my body anymore.
That's really cool. You do a lot of seminars. One of the seminars, personal trainers, where you help them become better personal trainers.
Yep.
What are some of the key things or key components that you teach them that you see is the main faults in the personal trainer industry?
Yeah, woo, what a topic. Okay, we've covered listening. Yeah. Listen for your clients and care. Customer service, what is your customer service like with your clients? After a one-to-one session, is it goodbye and see you next week when you next pay me $50?
Yeah.
So what can you do to support that cycle? Again, it's about listening and caring. Do you have a follow-up framework? Are there kind of bits within the kind of personal training sessions or coaching week where you're adding that little bit extra? Imagine this. Imagine you're training a client and you're talking about your favorite recipe. You're talking about the curry that you learned how to cook when you went on a trip to Kerala in India. And you're telling your client's like, oh, I can't get that spice mix in my supermarket. I shop at X. Okay, so you log that. You log that little memory. And then next time you're shopping, you buy that spice mix for them. And then you bring it into the session and say, oh, remember we talking about that curry? Here's that spice mix so you can try cooking it at home. Yeah. It's cost you $2. And that client's gone, wow, my trainer listened. He cares. And now I can go away and cook that awesome recipe that's his favourite. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But most trainers are walking around the gym, changing plates, thinking about the next set, and not listening. They're just nodding and saying yes. They're saying, how was your day? And not actually listening to the response, because that response could change the whole of the session. Have they already been through loads of shit that day? Well, that's going to change your session. It has to, because you've got to lead the best outcome for how that client's emotionally feeling. Yeah. So that's a couple of things. So
you listen to the emotional feedback, which can basically lead the session.
Yeah, we're emotional creatures, man. We respond on emotion. It's let's talk about marketing. We respond to marketing based on emotion. Why do we buy transformation packages? Because we have an emotional reason. Because we've seen that guy and he's like, well, I'm that fat, and I want to look like that guy. I'll buy that thing. that's why it works, because it's tuning into emotional cues. Like, advertising your services as a personal trainer. I do one-to-one training. I also do group boot camp. I do diet plans. No one wants any of that shit.
No.
People want to lose weight. They want to lose 2 stone before a wedding. All these things that companies like Herbalife do and shake diets and all this stuff works because they play on people's emotional desires and reasons. And that's not a negative thing. It's just they've been aware of how people work.
Yeah.
And trainers, in my experience, are very bad at business. It's become a little bit of a dirty word, business, but business makes the world go round. Business brings the clients into your gym. Business does everything. So as soon as a trainer knows the basics of training, movement, therapy, a little bit of mindset work, nutrition, invest in your business knowledge, because that's going to get the clients in the door. That's going to keep the clients coming in the door, and that's super important. Otherwise, you're not going to have a livelihood.
No.
And that was the one thing I was awful at when I was a young trainer. I was a great trainer knowledge-wise, but I was a poor listener, and I was poor at marketing myself. And as soon as I did those 2 things, wow, I was good. I think
that's a really big takeaway. Like, you don't necessarily need to keep reading more books and taking PhDs and everything. Just start actually caring and listening and paying attention to the small things.
Yep. Because the chances are, the more knowledge... and I found this, the more knowledge I acquired, the more advanced I got, the worse I got at helping my clients. Because my clients couldn't use any of that advanced knowledge.
They don't care.
No, they just want to move, they want to lunge, they want to do a twist, they want to throw a ball, they want to go on a run. Man, I learned that in PT school.
Yeah.
So most of the knowledge I'm using now is what I learned at PT level 3, rather than all the stuff that I learned in my advanced courses as a sports nutritionist and stuff, which I use like 1% of my week.
Because when would you ever get asked, when you get a client who's obese or who just wants to get fit, oh, let me see your CV. It's like, nobody cares about that. No. You probably got referred for somebody else. Oh, Ben is a great guy. He's fun, and he helped me quite a lot. That's what matters. Yeah. The rest doesn't really matter.
Results matter.
Yeah. Yeah, because, I'm 23, and I don't have much education, and I keep trying to educate myself more, but Marcus keeps telling me also that you also just need to focus more on the small things, like write your clients every weekend how they're doing, and those small things with a curious story. If you're back home and whatever, your clients love coffee and you're a specialty coffee place, bring some coffee for them, or just those small things. I think that's a massive takeaway. It's not really who you are, what you've achieved. It's just how good of a dude are you actually.
100%. And if anyone does care, that's all the stuff I talked about in that book, How to Be an Awesome Personal Trainer. It was basically my 10-year journey of all the things I realised I was crap at. And I was like, by the way, I used to be really crap at this. And then I learnt this, and I was a lot better at it. And it's just like 20 chapters of just me talking about all the little like aha moments I had.
Yeah.
And I talk about the story of observing a trainer that was at the time I thought he was a worse trainer than me technically, but he always had a busy diary. And I was like, why did he have a busy diary? He cared. He cared about his clients, where I didn't genuinely care. I was thinking about my own knowledge and what I was going to program, where he got them on the treadmill for 10 minutes and just had a chat to them. Why did he have a chat? Because he listened to about their day, and then that governed the session intensity. It governed everything. And I learned that so quickly from just observing, and initially I thought, this guy's a crap trainer. Why's he got him on the treadmill? And like, he's just listening. He's caring. Boom. And he nailed it.
We've been through loads of different stuff, and we could continue for hours and hours. Where can people get in touch with you? Where can they get access to, that seminar or the book you're speaking about? Everything, social media.
Yeah, I am all over the internet. Ben Coomber, Coomber. If you go onto Facebook, if you go onto Twitter, Instagram, bencoomber.com. Ben Coomber Radio is my podcast. Android, iTunes, all available. Wow. Depending on the books and stuff, like if you go to my website, bencoomber.com, you'll find all the links to all the stuff that you want to explore.
That's just like center platform.
That is
everything.
The center. It's the hub.
It's the hub. All right, so hop over to bencoomber.com.
If we were on that MTV program, we'd say my website. That's where the magic happens.
MTV Crips.
That's the one.
Yeah,
that's the
exactly.
program. Yeah, bad
Perfect.
reference.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Thanks for
Thank
taking
you.
your time, and I hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, cheers, dude.
Okay.